All right, we are live. Welcome. Playing around still with stuff. The camera. Still not happy with this webcam I've got going here. There we go. I've got a few little videos queued up. Oh, let's put in the link before I do anything else. Link copied. Go over the comments. I hope everyone is doing well this morning, this afternoon, whatever time it is for you, this evening. It's what, 7 o'clock in the UK? So it is nighttime, practically, depending on how you define nighttime. Okay, let's share screen. What should we start with? Oh, let's see. Pope Leo is getting all the attention these days. There's a 60 minutes report I linked in the description. Feel free to check it out. Obviously, I won't be playing any 60 minutes on the live stream unless I want to get nuked. Howdy, Brett. Hope you're doing well. I don't even know if I want to play much of it, but I will share it and then we will go from there. This make it a little easier for you to see.
Boy, I think just try to hide
that. This is Jordan B. Cooper. I think Paul has interviewed him before, hasn't he? At least once. He's talked about him at least. I know that. Paul being PVK, of course. He's Lutheran pastor and theologian, I guess. He has a doctor in front of his name. Dr. Jordan B. Cooper. He is most definitely Lutheran. I think the purpose of his channel is to give the Lutheran perspective. But in this video, he's arguing with Father Josiah Trenum. You recognize, if you've been around at all and looked up Orthodox stuff, you will have seen the guy with the gray beard and the black, dressed in black, the man in black. You will have recognized the man in black as himself a vigorous advocate for orthodoxy, and he makes the case that the Reformationists, be they Lutheran, well, he's reacting to a short, like a TikTok short that Father Josiah put together, and where he accuses the Luther et al. Of what do they call it? The parentheses, or the idea that the church fell into complete obscurity after the apostles, and that for some reason all the words are escaping me right now. Oh, let's play a little bit while I get my thoughts together. I had a clip, actually. Let me see if I can find the clip. That might help me out a little bit. So bear with me for a second while I find the clip.
to say, well, okay, the church maybe was pure until.
All right, here we go. I wrote a comment, by the way, and I will share that in a second, but I'll play the clip. everything good? We got good sound, I hope.
To say, well, okay, the church maybe was pure until, the Council of Nicaea, 325 or something. So that Constantine corrupted the church after that, and you have this great apostasy. So those movements do exist. There are people that make those arguments, but those groups that are sometimes referred to as the Millerites, because of a man whose last name was Miller that had this idea, those groups are not.
Did not originate with Miller. 10-4 on sound. Thank you, Brett. Did not originate with the Millerites. Boy, is he off. Even on American Christianity, he's way off on that. Official restorationism begins at the turn of the century, 19th century, from the 18th into the 19th. It's way off on that. And it's happening all over the place, all at the same time. It's more of an American cultural phenomenon than it is a uniquely religious one with any singular group. Americans in the early 19th century were obsessed. American Protestants were obsessed with restoring the old church, and they thought that the new world there, America, the American Republic, was the place where they were going to finally have an opportunity to restore apostolic Christianity of the type you find in the Book of Acts. So you see it with the Methodists, American Methodists to some degree, but you see it most clearly with the Stone Campbell movement. They call themselves restorationists and primitivists. You certainly see it with who were the Millerites, who become the Seventh-day Adventists, and you see it with Mormons. They are also explicitly restorationists in this, and they totally believe the church fell into apostasy. Jesus leaves the planet Earth, and the church falls into apostasy. It's practically. I'm not an expert on the Mormons yet, but not an expert on anything, but I certainly have more study to do on the Mormons. But all of these groups and others thought of themselves as restorationists. The United movement, in some ways, would have found themselves as, or seen themselves as, restorationists. It's not just a Millerite thing. So, but this is what he's concerned about. He's concerned that Father Josiah Trenham is lumping in these 19th century American restorationists in with the original reformers: Martin Luther, John Calvin, Zwingli. Can never remember Heinrich Zwingli. Can never remember Zwingli's first name. Anyways, those guys. And the funny thing is my comment was something like this. Let me see if I can find it for you, and see if I can read it for you. Luther dissolved the monasteries and reduced the sacraments from 7 to 2, breaking with 1,000 years or more of Christian tradition. You can frame this as either a radical reinvention of the Christian religion or its restoration. I see no third option. So essentially what I'm accusing the good Dr. Jordan Cooper of is just being a bit disingenuous, or at the very least plain semantics. Thank you, Brett. It's Ulrich. Appreciate that. Ulrich Zwingli. Zwingli. I'm sure it's a little more as a V than a Zwi. Americans like to go Zwi. I'm sure it's more as a V. A lot of probably pounding when you say, you gotta punch when you say that, don't you? Zwi. Zwingli. I'm off on a tangent. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't see, to me, it's a distinction without a difference. something went click in my, what the heck? Maybe it was a notification. I'm hearing things in my ears. Anyway, I think Dr. Cooper is stretching. If you think, I mean, how on earth Luther is doing one of two things, and Luther and Calvin and Zwingli and the others and everyone else after whatever Luther sets in motion is obviously followed up by others who carry his thinking in many ways to its logical extreme. In many cases, and they continue to build on the Lutheran move. And when you reduce the sacraments from 7 to 2, and then later on, other reformers just simply throw out the concept of sacraments altogether and restore language like ordinances in place of sacraments. That's a restorationist move. Whether you call it restorationist, it's a small r restorationist move. It may not be a large R, capital R restorationist move, but it is restoration. Or we can play it this way. It doesn't have to be restorationist, right? It can be a complete reinvention. It can be something new. It can be novel. Don't see it. There's no. Oh, and I got a funny reply. A really long, pedantic reply. It's very funny. Read more. You're always in trouble when you see read more in the comment section. This is why I don't write comments anymore. But I did this time. Stupid. Let's see if I can see this. It's a bit of an exaggeration to say that Luther dissolved the monasteries. Perhaps you are thinking of Henry VIII and the dissolution of the monasteries in England. Luther and the Reformers did have a lot of criticism for monasteries, though. Take a look at Article 27 of the Augsburg Confession, a primarily concern. I don't know what. I'm going to say which was primarily concern was a primary concern. Maybe that's what he meant. A primary concern was that the vows were required before many had obtained an appropriate age. Article 27 points out that the papal laws voiding vows taken before the age of 15 were being ignored. So there was much done out of compulsion, not out of a sufficient understanding. And there are numerous other abuses discussed. I think that if you read them, you'd probably agree that reform was needed. So let's not romanticize the monasteries. In Luther's time, there were plenty of problems in the monastic life. Regarding the sacraments, Luther simply highlighted that the two sacraments of baptism and Eucharist were sacraments of the gospel and unique in that regard. The other rites, whatever you call them, are still important for the church, but they are not of the same importance as the former two. And regarding the sacraments, they should never be regarded as meritorious works for the forgiveness of sin. So, to your point, there is a third option. It's called reform. Oh my goodness. That's rhetorically punchy, awfully rhetorical for a comment reply on YouTube. My goodness, we're getting lofty. I didn't expect the hairs on the back of my neck to be raised so by a YouTube comment on another channel. Come on over and comment on my channel. I won't reply probably, but you can. The banner waving is making me friggin' insane. on everybody. I mean, as soon as you call yourself pseudo Catholic, this is pseudo Catholic thing as a branding label may not last, just because it, everyone wants to bring out their crosses and their flags, and not see the their own warts. To me, Dr. Cooper is making a distinction without a difference. He's arguing. He's doing a bit of shadow boxing with Father Josiah, who is himself doing some shadow boxing, because both guys are basically trying to say, this is why we're a little better than you guys are. You know. Which will bring me to the next clip. So let's remove this. And this was on Chris Howard. For those of you who do not watch early in the morning, Chris Howard. I got to remove the old one, add the new one. But this was this morning. Chris Howard and Chad and Claire and a new guy I don't really know. I don't think I've ever met him. Made an appearance. And there's Chris, looking good, by the way. Answers the prayers. Seeing Mr. Chris Howard looking so well after his little stroke scare. As soon as I heard that, I was terrified and I was so happy to see him back up and running so quickly after going to the hospital for a stroke. Obviously, he's responding well to treatment and recovering. And God bless him. Keep praying for him. So that's important. That's important. Let's keep praying for Chris's health. Everybody on this screen. Nathaniel, I don't know yet, but he seems like a nice guy. Claire Kaw, bringing in the secular Quran. Still don't know what that is. She actually talks about this more, and she actually gives herself some definition. Sherry's commenting. He had 2 of his inner circle killed. My eyes, guys. I've got to get new glasses. Something. Over baptism. He persecuted Anabaptists by drowning them. Are we talking about Zwingli? Are we talking about Zwingli or Luther? Oh, the Swiss Reformation. That'd be Zwingli. Yeah, it was serious. Paul Vanderklay actually made the announcement, and he had talked to Chris's wife and got the lowdown for us. He assured us that Chris was doing well. I had no idea Chris was doing this well. Chris is doing really. You can't. He's brighter than ever. He's doing great, as far as I can tell. Maybe he tuckers out a little faster. So again, let's just keep Chris in prayer. Okay, let's play this because I think Chad brings up a really good point. And I hope I have it queued up in the right spot. Let's see what happens.
General conversation that I think we would have in the corner.
Okay, here's the setup. For the first hour of the conversation of the video, well, not the first hour, but when Claire comes in, and Claire and Chris and Nathaniel are talking about history and current policy and so on and so forth, and then Chad comes in, and there's some back and forth, but this is where it gets interesting. Chad does a pivot,
which is not the conversation that Nathan and Claire are trying to have. So when they have it, it feels very invasive. It's like an invasive species that comes into the conversation to break up whatever it is that we're generally doing over here.
I accept the charge, Chad. I know it's annoying to have somebody saying, "Oh, this your religion." I don't quite agree with it, and why this and why that. But may I explain my reasons for wishing to do that, having taken an interest in.
I'd be happy to hear it. Just let me say one last thing about it real quick. And the point is that I don't think the conversation that we're having is about, let's say, religion as such. I don't think that's we're doing more of something different. And so the viral conversation about religion as a, I think is more of a problem than it is a solution. That's why it feels so invasive. It's an invasive
So what
trope.
you haven't described it to me enough. We have to come back to Claire too, but you're describing something, but you've labeled it, but you haven't really described it. What is the thing that you're seeing as being invasive? What is the difference about it? Because I see a difference, but I'm not sure it's the same difference you're seeing.
Well, I don't know. I think it's like maybe we'll be talking about something to do with fellowship, or maybe how we're having interactions with our family, or things like this, or just like.
Okay, do you get where he's going with this? Are you seeing it? All the talk back and forth about religion or politics or how they all blend, right? Positioning yourself one above another, making this, my Lutheranism is a little bit better than your Orthodoxy, or my Catholicism is a step above your evangelicalism, or even your Islam, right? Chad's saying that discussion is invasive, is invading, is polluting the community that should be having more substantive discussions that are grounded in the here and now. Am I hearing him? You can tell me if I'm hearing him wrong, but that's what I'm hearing him say. Let's continue.
Topics of those nature, and then the polemic side of religion gets brought in, and that
polemics. That's what we heard with the Dr. Cooper, Father, what's his name, Josiah, back and forth.
Polemic, invasive, whatever that is. It's a derailing feature, I think, to the conversation. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I know I sound like a midwit, because I probably am. Maybe I'm less than a midwit.
I think Stephanie Christos probably agrees with you, because she constantly prays that I will discuss something other than politics and religion. And I know I have, I guess, invaded your Christian corner with my hey, have you considered this? Have you considered that? And it's like, no, and we don't want to. Go away. But
I don't think it is a Christian corner, though. That's the thing. I think that's the thing. But go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
But I have to explain how you people came to my notice, and it was because of PVK, who was saying Jordan Peterson a lot, and he attracted a lot of people who wanted to talk about Jordan Peterson. And I guess, well, that's a branch of politics, isn't it? So I think it's unavoidable that religion and politics is exactly the same thing. And even if we were all atheists, we would regard as sacred writ our own individual political opinions about whatever. And that, I think, is a reason why atheism is so dangerous, because atheists will always be, fighting each other, like, who are you to say this, and why do you think your opinion is better than mine, and I'm going to fight you, and whatever. But if you have this hierarchy of religion, like God above humanity, who gave us his laws, and US Supreme Court, who will be the final arbiter of the law of the land, then you can have some kind of moral order, you see. So I think religion is key to solving all our political problems, but I suppose I see the American Republic as having, half the answer, and half the answer.
All right. I think the most important part was what Chad had to say, and I can't remember if he had much of a reply. Unfortunately, Chris's video is not generating closed captions. Don't know why that is. All right, so that's that. The link is also in the description. So if you want to check out more of that discussion, but I think Chad's point is, and this may go to what Luke is in the chat, at least he was, and what you might call partisan or ideological or sides taking discussions undermine fellowship. And what I think, I see the word tribal popping up. Thanks, Sherry. That's true. Also, history's fascinating. Theology and philosophy, politics, it's all fascinating. But if you can't, I think Chad maybe does talk about it more. If it's getting in the way of our ability to have a Saturday afternoon barbecue together, it's a problem. And then you have to wonder, and this is where I'm at with the YouTube business and channel, is trying to figure out a way forward where we can talk about interesting things, but do it in a way that supports fellowship and is also considerate in the First Corinthians sense of the weaker members. I think something, recent events of the last couple months have me, looking at how some people's minds are not quite, they for whatever reason have emotional challenges that push events, rhetoric, online content, what have you, push them over the edge. And I think what Chad's talking about here is it makes sense for us to adapt our discourse in a way that we are considerate of people who can't quite handle it, or maybe we need to just prioritize mental health, emotional health, and always keep that in the forefront of our thinking before we talk. Oh dear, don't bring in Russian authors right now, Sherry. It's too highfalutin for this channel. I think Dostoevsky mapped it perfectly in the Grand Inquisitor story. No greater calling than being a friend. Yes. And can we be friends? I pointed out that I'm picking on, because they're kind of minor YouTube celebrities, so I can kind of pick on them a little bit. But when guys like Father Josiah and Jordan Cooper raise the flag for their tribe, are they helping us to foster friendship? How much I mean, if you can watch this stuff and engage with it and see, this is where everybody's at a different place. I think some people can watch this material and it's like water off a duck's back, oh yeah, that's interesting, and go on with their day. Some people deeply take this stuff in, like the commenter, like the guy here. Let me share the screen again. like the commenter who wrote his little treatise in reply to me, you know. Yeah. All I said was Luther dissolved the monasteries, which he did. He set up the conditions for the dissolution of the monasteries. And yes, Henry VIII went for a power and money grab because he was a greedy son of a bitch, and the monasteries held probably a third of the wealth of the country, and they were completely out of his reach. So it was a, Henry VIII was just Protestant enough to enrich himself, and then it stopped. Enrich himself and get the women he wanted. Other than that, so but yes, I wrote Luther dissolved the monasteries and reduced the sacraments from 7 to 2, breaking with 1,000 years or more of Christian tradition. You can frame this as either a radical reinvention or of the Christian religion or its restoration, but I see no third option. And of course, then that was too much. See, here's the thing: was that one sentence or two? 2 sentences. 3 sentences. I see no third option. That's a third sentence. 3 sentences, and it provoked a pretty lofty reply. Now, maybe he ran it through ChatGPT, and hopefully he didn't work too hard on it. I hope nobody works more than a minute writing a comment or reply to me on a comment. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth your time. So maybe hopefully this was a ChatGPT or Claude thing. They put the stuff in, and then he used my statement as a prompt, and then maybe this is what Claude came up with. That would make me feel better about this whole thing, because I don't want to see people waste their lives on stuff like this. So anyways, that's it. I really like what Chad had to say. I think he's essentially right. Certainly for the corner. Right? If you're in the corner, you're not. Is the corner Christian? Tell me, Luke Thompson, you're here. Is the corner Christian? No, Luke, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, my son. The medium is a message. That's Luke's favorite line. What does it mean? We could. Okay, so the chat is too interesting. I'm being distracted. I've stopped talking because I'm looking at the chat. What are we talking about, anyways? I mean, I see this happens all the time. I can't pay attention to the chat. So, link is pinned if you want to hop in. Otherwise, I'm going to probably bow out quickly unless somebody wants to talk and keep me company. Regarding my own work on the chat, because this is where I'm at. I've got all this research done. I've got a lot of drafts created around church history, how to present it in this time period. Because of what I tell a story, make it personal. I mean, because look, you guys anybody can hop onto an LLM and find out just about anything you want and get at least a survey of church history. It's not that hard. I guess the issue is the benefit of having authors at this point is the authors can ask questions that you may not have thought of before, because something you will not find is much originality in an LLM. You won't find any, really. What you'll find is a degree of novelty, right? So the LLM is going to give you, it'll scrape thoughts from the internet and regurgitate it to you in a way that may seem novel, but it's not going to be original. Human beings can come up with really original ideas and certainly questions, and and maybe suss out patterns that the LLM can't see and present it to you that way. So maybe that's what we're going to try to do with the history. Because, you know, there's no point in spending a lot of time creating something that you can just get on your own very easily. What I want to do is something that is actually interesting. So if you like, I can play music in the background while everybody chats. Or you can come on and sorry. What are we doing? I see Afriel. Let's see if we can discern a pattern. I have no idea what's going on. I did not see that video. There's a lot of videos I don't see. Dog walk time. Be back soon. Okay. Usually I get somebody to keep me company, but maybe it's too early for that. So what I can do is Claire call. Device not connect. There it is. Claire Caw is in the house. Hey Claire, how you doing?
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me. I noticed that there was a clip of me on talking to Chad on Chris Howard's channel, and I was very, very pleased because there was so much more I wanted to say about the subject, and then Chris had to go, and I noticed that Chad. You see, Chad actually has a video, a stream, saying we owe it to ourselves to be more antisocial online than in real life. And now I can't find it on his channel. Perhaps he deleted it and changed his mind. I don't know if you remember.
Is it an old one or a new one?
It's maybe a few months ago. And I was thinking to myself...
Oh, if it's a few months ago, he did, he's got a new channel, right?
Mhm.
Sherry's coming in for a landing. We're circling the tarmac. The runway. There she is. Sherry's landed. All right. Hey, Sherry. Maybe.
I'm landing.
Keep talking.
I'm here, and I'm in that studio with Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Sherry. It's I think it's the first time, isn't it?
Ladies. It is. Welcome.
It's the
First time here.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
So
a
what
first
else
time
did
for
you-
everything?
That's it.
Yes.
So why don't I just ask you both? Okay, Claire said she had more to say that she wanted to say with regard to the Chris Howard stream, and then I'll ask Sherry to follow up with what brought you in. What are you thinking? So I guess Claire, finish your thought, and then Sherry's next.
I've forgotten my thought. Sherry, please do go ahead.
I just jumped in to keep you company, Mark.
Oh, okay.
I'm
To keep it going, we've
I'm
got to
a
have some
stalker, so-
background. Yeah, we got to have some background noise for the chat, so the chat can keep going. We've got 20 people here who are talking about all
We have
kinds
to
of
say
stuff that
something controversial.
exactly say something. Abortion. Boom.
Ooh. Actually,
Christology.
now that Claire's here, I can tell her that after we got off the recording with Paul Vanderklay, the ladies stream that we did the other day,
Right.
Mhm.
all we
Last
talked about
Friday.
was politics.
Why wasn't it live? What a shame it wasn't streamed live. Mm.
Interesting. What
Yeah.
was, and can you share what was said at all or summarize it?
Well, what can I don't know. I think I kind of lost my mind because here's the deal. I had gone into town to do some shopping and I needed a new barn coat. So I went into this store that's called Mark's Workwear World, you know, where you get that kind of stuff. And the jacket I wanted was way up high. So I went to the front of the store to get some help. And as I'm standing at the front of the store, this woman walks out with an armload of clothing off the racks. Just walks, and like, this is like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, you know. She just
Is it
strolls
shoplifting?
past me. Huh?
And she's shoplifting? Like she's walking out
Yeah.
without paying for it?
Yeah. She's
Okay.
totally shoplifting, but not just one little thing stuck in her coat, like openly with loads, okay?
Okay.
And I'm looking at her thinking, first of all, I can't believe my eyes. And I'm thinking, oh, I must have this wrong. And, you know, and then the lady comes to help me and we're walking back to where I was going to go. And I thought, I can't not say something. So I said, I think that lady just walked out with merchandise. She goes, oh, I know, I saw her. There's nothing we can do about it. And I said, what? You know, and as we're talking, excuse me, as we're talking, she takes the coat down from the rack and I'm unzipping it to try it on. And my mind is just like, I feel like I'm a dystopian nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly it dawned on me. Well, I looked at the price tag for one thing, and it was a coat that was worth $50 and it was $160. And I thought, well, that's probably why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. You're
And
paying the
then
shoplifter's tax.
I
Yeah.
said to her, yeah, and then I said to her, because she goes, oh, well, we have to write it down though as loss. We have to write it down. And she's got these like zombie eyes when she sees that I'm incensed about it. Like, where have you been, lady? Like, this is how the world is now, you know? Did you just wake
And this
up?
is in Canada.
You know? And this is in Canada. And so then I look at the coat on, and I'm about to try it on, and then I looked at it and I said, tell me, why should I pay for this?
Hmm. I think I only asked you this
Why
question.
should I just?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think that there is a reason for it. This is what I heard of how they cope with it in California, because apparently in California, if you steal about $900 worth, under $900 worth of goods, it's only a misdemeanor and not a felony. So you won't, and the
Right.
police are not obliged to investigate it. And I think they try to get around that by overpricing the goods. It's like, oh, it's $900 plus, you know, whatever the real price is, to make it a felony.
Well, here's
So
the thing. I did my own survey after that, because I was just like, this can't be real. Like, what is happening, right? So I go to another store, didn't like the jacket there. I go to another store and I met a friend who I hadn't seen for a long time. And I was still like, this was just like going through my mind. And I said to my friend, you won't believe what just happened. And the sales lady, and this is a local store, so it's not like a big box store. It's it's a local person that runs the store. And I told her what happened. And then the owner of the store said, yeah, it's true. They won't come. The police won't come. There's nothing we can do about it. That's why they basically have stuff stacked up in front of the door that treats it like a funnel to get in and out of the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the bank and I continued my rant. And I said to the bank teller, you won't believe what, you know. And she said, I used to be an assistant manager for a bigger grocery store in town. She said they come in and they fill up duffel bags full of meat, and we can't do anything about it. We're not allowed to do anything about it. And the whole time that I'm hearing this stuff, I'm like, then why am I paying for anything?
Crazy.
Why, why am I paying, right?
Yeah, you might still join the
And then we
bandits and
talked
the
about
shoplifters.
then we talked about Canadian politics because it's directly related to federal policy. They do they you know there's a they just don't prosecute these people, right? That's the thing. So it's like a revolving door. If they pick them up, and the bank teller who used to be the assistant manager at the grocery store said to me, if we in the beginning we used to say, hey, and they'd just pull a knife, and then we'd have to, you're not going to die at a grocery store for $10 an hour,
That's I'm California, so I can actually say what it's like in California. The police will respond to. I mean, I see the local Redlands Facebook group, and I follow both Redlands police too. I'm not on Facebook anymore very much, but I used to see the reports, and they'd come in and they'd say attempted shoplifting so and so, and a suspect was apprehended on this date at this time, and so on.
Yeah.
So the law is enforced here, but it is, you're right about the misdemeanor thing. It's got to be above a certain amount to not be a misdemeanor or to be, a felony or something.
Okay.
Owners,
let me
there's a lot of, no, I was just saying it's Canada may prevent owners from management of these establishments from defending their rights, using private security, but we have a lot of that around here. So go ahead.
Well, okay. So I have a, I'll just say it. My brother is mentally ill, like seriously mentally ill. Okay. And before Christmas last year, not 2025, but 2024, he was really going off the rails. And there was a road rage incident with him. And he carried a big Bowie knife on him all the time. And he threatened somebody on the road with the Bowie knife, like, out the window, and then chased them down, freaked them out completely. They called the police. Yeah. The police pulled them over, my brother and his wife, and he was not arrested, and they did not take his Bowie knife. And then it escalated to the point where 3 times he basically held his wife against her will, once for 3 days locked in a hotel room, and tried to murder her with the same knife. And each time that the police were called, they saw the knife, they never took the knife, and they never put him in jail until the final 3-day ordeal that she had to go through. Okay. Yeah. And here's the thing. This is not just an offense to her. It's an offense to him. He's off his rocker. He could have murdered somebody in that state of mind, not something that he would normally do. Okay.
Right.
And nobody is going to help him. He was assessed twice by mental health, and they gave him a clean bill of health. How can you give somebody like that a clean bill? Like, what is happening, Mark?
I can't fathom. Canada used to be a place we all would look up to and say, you guys are doing great up there. And would be like, that'd be a great option if everything melted down around here. But Canada's just, I hear all these stories about Canada these days. And it's like,
it's insane.
Is it the Trudeau administration or what? What happened in the last 20 years with Canada?
Well, in the last 11, it's been Managed decline is what it's called. Want to get political?
Well, I'm just wondering. It was just, well, we can talk because we can talk. Maybe we can talk about Canadian politics in a way that we can't talk about American politics.
We certainly can. Yeah.
So sure, a managed decline, but you say in the last 11. Did COVID have a big? COVID was probably an accelerant, huh, on whatever was already happening.
It was already happening. Justin Trudeau started the whole game. And yeah. So, my brother's suffered with mental illness his whole life. And there have been a lot of interventions from the family on his behalf because he becomes dangerous to himself and others. And it used to be in Canada, the Mental Health Act allowed the police to arrest someone if they were a danger to themselves or others. That was just bottom line standard, right? And that doesn't exist anymore. So, and there were many times when I had to call the police and they came and took him and got him, put him in a hospital, got him on his meds, got him settled down. You know what I mean? Like, and then he'd go for a number of years like that and then go off them and, we'd have to do it again. But suddenly we were faced in this situation and because it went so long, like he was unmedicated and uncared for, no doctor, okay, because our medical system is a shambles. He just could have killed her. Almost did.
That's
and who
horrifying.
knows who else? Who knows who else, Mark? Right? So, I mean, when you've got a bunch of voices and demons, telling you to do things, you don't know what they're going to tell you to do. I don't know what they're going to tell them to do.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's what you guys talked about when you switched off the
PTSD.
camera, or when you guys turned off the live stream. You guys, this is what you talked about.
We talked about, I told that story and then we just talked about this insidious spirit of managed decline where people my age, people your age, they reach out for the thing that they knew was helpful in the past and it's not there anymore. It's gone. There is no law to protect you. There's no law to protect your mentally ill family member. There's nothing there. You're on your own. And if you protect yourself, you stand the chance of going to jail, right? So, and I just have to, it just feels very spiritual to me. Like it feels really evil, really like upside down, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's sort of like your parents telling you not to have children or go kill yourself, or going to your school and saying, please bully my kid. That seems to me to be what they're doing. They're sort of saying,
that's what
don't have
the government's
children.
doing that too, right? Like there's over 100,000 people in Canada have opted for MAID since it was introduced, and I think that was like 4 years ago. It's the second
scary.
highest. It's the second highest cause of death in Canada right now. MAID, okay? And this year, they're going to introduce it. They're going to allow people who are mentally ill and children who are underage to go to do it without their parents' consent. What is happening? Like, this is the world I live in. It's it's so dystopian. And I'm, like this morning, I was reading the news and I just got my clothes on. I went outside and I got on my tractor and I just worked for 4 hours. I can't.
That's hard to
look at it anymore.
process.
It's too much.
It's almost as if the government has turned into an Aztec priesthood and lining us
that's a
up
good
or something. And yeah.
And then on top of all that, in the province that I live in, they're now eroding property rights. Okay. So they just gave the city of Richmond to a First Nations band. And all the property owners, and there's a lot of industry in that area, it's right on the water, are asking, what does this mean? Like, it doesn't belong to the government anymore. It doesn't belong to the city of Vancouver or the city of Richmond. Nobody knows. They're going to their banks to get their mortgages renewed, and the banks are not touching them. And nobody's telling them anything. And the government of BC is doing this in secret. So they're not making it public until all the paperwork is signed, and it's a done deal. And now, because the province of BC didn't make treaties with First Nations, so it's called unceded territory. And so now now all the bands all across the province are claiming entire cities. The Musqueam Nation just claimed Burnaby and Vancouver. The Shuswap just claimed Kamloops, right? And every single person in British Columbia is going, because we're basically sitting on unceded territory, the whole province, right?
Yeah.
And I
So
mean,
what are
I
they?
have problems.
No, I'm just
Go
wondering
ahead.
what's obviously here in the United States, you'd have clear legal recourse that would, in these cases, would be taken to the Supreme Court, as they have been. I mean, there's
Yeah,
something
they
like
took
that.
it to they took it to the Federal Court of Canada, and they ruled in their favor.
In whose favor? The BC's favor, or
First
in
Nations.
First Nations? But
Yeah.
but there has to be.
It's being appealed, and the federal.
So okay, then it's not gone to
our-
the Supreme
our
Court.
Prime
You can't.
Minister-
I'm just saying you can't. Here in the United States, you can't. There's no appeal beyond the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court.
Well,
That's it.
It's a federal court in the province of BC, but they're appealing it.
Yeah.
And I just found out day before yesterday that our Prime Minister has told the federal lawyers not to defend it, not to defend the landowners. Okay?
Yeah.
That's their job. The federal lawyers are supposed to defend the landowners, right? But they're not. They've been told to stand down. Why? I don't know. It's like, it's total chaos, Mark. Everywhere I look, you know?
But then, okay, so the current government, Trudeau's party was set to lose, and then Trump came along and kind of made everyone feel their Canadian patriotism as a result of his ridiculousness.
Which was actually banned. Which was actually banned when Trudeau was the Prime Minister. He said no Canadian flags on Canada Day every year that he was Prime Minister, because he said we are a post-national country. Okay? And now all of a sudden we are patriots. Because
that's a step in the
they
right
made Trump
direction,
an
I would
enemy.
say, though. I mean, if you want to, I mean, for
I don't
what you don't, not sure.
I
Or
don't
maybe is it
think it
better to
is.
break up? I mean, is
I
it
don't
better
think
for
it-
British Columbia to be British Columbia, period, by itself, a standalone, independent state?
Oh, I
Would
don't
that be
know.
better?
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion on those things. Anyway, it's such insanity at the moment. And this is not, so here's the thing. The propaganda came through the culture, the polarization. It was like it was designed to divide people into camps, right? And now the political moves, the chess moves are being made because they can rally people behind ideologies. And I don't want to talk about my own personal theories about why this is, because God only knows, to be honest with you. All I'm saying is, when you're standing in a store in a small town in British Columbia, a small town in British Columbia, and people have no recourse to other people breaking the law, and your own brother is lost his marbles and is trying to murder his wife, and there's no help for him and there's no help for her. Okay?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. Well, no, if she had died, you're talking about your daughter or your sister-in-law, right? Or your brother's wife
my
or
sister.
girl. They would have finally had a crime to investigate had he actually murdered her. But they won't. There's no concept of prevention, obviously,
No,
Um,
and so, you have to ask yourself, is that part of the chaos, that there's no prevention, there's no order, right, Mark? Like, that's what that is. Prevention of crime
mhm.
is order. So the opposite of order is chaos, and that's what it feels like, And my brother works in Ontario in a town of, I don't know, it's 80,000 or something. And they have he works in a jewelry store which used to be open to the public, but now they've got
Right.
a
Yeah.
buzzer on the
Yeah.
door, and you got to make
Sure.
an appointment. Like, it's not because our morals have changed, it's because the laws have changed. We all know what's right and wrong, but nobody's
Mhm.
doing anything about it. Do not steal. Do not kill. Do not covet your neighbor's wife. Like,
Right.
it's out the window. It's totally out the window. So anyway, that's I won't bore anybody. I can't see comments, so I don't know what people are thinking. But
No, I
you want to
think
talk
people
politics, Mark?
commiserating
I'm
with
into it
you. I think people
all day
understand
long.
yeah, I think people understand your plight. I mean, it is, yeah. Every once in a while, you'll see somebody try something. I gotta say, I've seen I saw videos of those kind of scenes, with the cart, carrying out loads of stuff during COVID. Every once in a while, never witnessed one in person. Um, it is
Well,
unnerving.
you would think you'd be more likely to witness it in a city somewhere like Vancouver or Burnaby or, Kamloops even. I live in a
Okay.
tiny little town. And then last summer, I found out just from grocery store tellers that they're busing up homeless people from Vancouver for free and giving them money
And then
to
just leave
Williams
them out in the
Lake, to the
country or
town I live in.
something. Okay.
Just, well, spreading their, I don't know what their reasoning is behind it, but then suddenly this little town who has a very small police station, and there
Right.
are no laws anyway, is overrun with a bunch of serious drug addicts, which just, spreads the drugs around to the people in our town. I saw for the first time last summer, I saw, the fentanyl hunch, just all kinds of them just walking around all over the place. I never saw them before, except on YouTube. They're
Right.
all of a sudden, they're just everywhere. Like, this is not just random, okay?
Are they shooting up in public, like in parks or something, or what?
Oh yeah, yeah. And the police are more engaged in the park than they are at the local grocery store or jewelry store, or, you know what I mean? Constantly, police cars and ambulances, police cars and ambulances,
Right, because of the ODs. That's the ambulances part.
or whatever, or they're stabbing each other. I don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
you know, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's just insane. It just feels upside down to me.
Is there anything too? I've heard about there's an Albertan move to independence. Is there anything to that? Have you?
I don't know. I know that people in Alberta are. I mean, the federal government actively blocked any kind of what do you call it? Ability for Alberta to ship their oil. So they cut off the West Coast. They cut off the East Coast. You know, they killed the TMX pipeline, which was a possibility to the States. So they were actively shutting down the oil industry in Alberta, and people there they're feeling that. Like that's their industry. That's most, you know, that and farming. And
Right.
so just like I'm feeling what I'm feeling, they're having that same, you know, everywhere they turn, there's a closed door. This is not happening. Like you can tell that it's a concerted effort. And so for that reason, the people of Alberta, I mean, they have a premier who's given them a direct democracy. She's giving them that. She's allowing referendums so that they can decide what they want to do with their lives. And there is room in the Canadian Federation for provinces to separate. They can do that, right?
Right.
And so we'll see what they do, you know.
Right. Well,
what the people of
Quebec
Alberta
came
want.
very close, right, in the 60s
Well,
or 70s.
Quebec's back on the bandwagon.
Is it?
Quebec is just, they've lost, yeah. You know, in Canada, here's the electoral system in Canada is terrible because it's a parliamentary system. So we have ridings, and every riding has a member of parliament. And that member of parliament has a seat. And so it's the number of seats in the parliament that determines the governing party. If you have over 172 seats, you're a majority government, right?
Right.
And most of the ridings are in Ontario, Quebec, and the eastern provinces. The West has very few ridings. Huge, like the ridings in Western Canada are huge, right? And so it's always been a problem in Canadian politics that it's basically the Maritimes, Quebec, and Ontario that choose the prime minister. And the people in Western Canada don't really have a vote. So
Right.
one of the reasons, and I voted for Justin Trudeau in his first run at prime minister because he promised electoral reform and he promised to introduce the first past the post. It's a way of reforming the parliamentary system.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for him for that reason. So he got in, and then about a month later, I got a phone call from the Liberal Party, and they were doing a questionnaire about electoral reform and what we had to answer a bunch of questions. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Why are they doing this when everybody voted for it? And then about a month after that, Justin Trudeau made an announcement that he had done a survey and he had come to the decision that the Canadian people were not ready for electoral reform psychologically. That's what he said. Psychologically.
You're
So
emotionally prepared for the experience. Yeah.
Yeah. He dangled a carrot. He got voted in, and then he wouldn't leave. And he drove the country into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop, Mark.
It's
I'm just
okay.
proving to Claire Caw I can do politics.
That's it. That's it. And she had to step away for it. She's only listening. She can't engage with you. No, I can. Well, you know, I've never quite understood why good governance and the respect for uh, the both the rule of law and respect for personal liberties is necessarily antithetical. But stories like what you're
Right.
talking about make it seem that way, because I'm just trying to figure out what would be the what's in it for them to govern the country so poorly, other than where's their constituency with this sort of thing? I mean, it's the liberals were reelected. Where did they get the votes? If this is where where it's gone,
They
where
got the
did
votes from urban Canada. They always get the votes from urban Canada. And it's because
right?
they create dependency. They create dependency. So
Okay,
they're constantly trickling out little checks.
and they're saying that you're
Giving
not going to
people.
get your rental support or whatever social benefit if the conservatives win or if somebody else is in power. So that's how they stay in power. It's like bread and
Well,
circuses for the Romans, so they can.
I would say that most of the Canadian population lives in cities along the American border.
Right,
Okay.
that's what I've heard. Yes.
The rest is empty,
Right.
and people who, and this is, I hope this is not taken as a slight, but to me, it's just the way it is. People who live in cities are dependent. They have their garbage picked up, they have their streets repaired, they have their, if there's a snowstorm, it gets plowed. Everybody takes care of their electricity. The only responsibility they have is that they pay their taxes and their bills. Okay. And then the municipal and federal government, provincial government look after them, right, in the cities. When you live in a more rural area, and it doesn't even have to be as rural as where I am, just a 10-acre parcel just outside of town, you don't even have that many amenities, right? Your taxes are lower because you don't pay for all the amenities, and maybe you heat your house with wood, so you don't, so there's the further away from the urban setting, the more independent people have to be because of the fact that they don't have all those amenities. So you create codependency. People hunkered down in cities. And, the most important thing for them in the morning is getting to their local coffee shop for their cup of Java and then to work. I'm running out of power. Sorry.
No worries. No
I
worries.
got to plug in.
Well, the United
Yeah.
States.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
And then they institute. So there's a program in British Columbia that is called SOGI. And it is your identity, and it's curriculum in all levels, at starting in kindergarten. And some of it is just vile. Okay, like Alberta just got rid of the same program that was in Alberta. They didn't get rid of the entire program.
Oh, you're frozen. Unfreeze, Sherry. Unfreeze. She plugged herself in and broke her internet. Give it one more second here. Tap, tap. Tap, tap. Come on, Sherry. Wake up. No, we lost her. Oh well. Sherry has left us in suspense.
Got rid of.
Oh, you're back. You're freezing and then you're back. Oh, and now she's gone completely. There it is, folks. Maybe come on back, Sherry. Yeah, in the United States, rural counties and rural estates are actually more dependent on federal largesse than heavily populated states like California. California. Oh, we got Sherry back. Maybe we got Mark here. Working on Sherry's still trying to come in. Go ahead, Mark. What you doing? What you got going? You took the dog out for a walk and it's back.
Yeah,
I see you brought your dog with you on screen. I'm looking at this beard, and you and your dog are like you. Are you the dog? You had to take your beard out for a walk.
I can't believe you just said that to me.
It's a beast. Look at it. It's a beast. The beast of Tbilisi.
It's annoying.
Oh, she's back. There she is. There she is.
Okay. I just jumped on because Sherry dropped out, so I thought I'll
Okay.
come in and say something.
Sorry, I had a momentary power outage there.
Oh. Okay.
Sherry, could you move your mic a little closer, please? There's a volume imbalance.
Me?
Yeah.
I think she's on a laptop.
Or maybe turn it up or something. Because Mark and Claire are quite loud compared to you.
Anyways, finish your thought, Sherry, while we got power.
Is that better?
Yeah, you sound fine. We'll do the best we can. Well, finish your thoughts.
What was my? I don't remember where it was.
Well, I mean, you brought up the fact that you think that city people are more dependent in Canada than rural folk who have to, like you said, your heat comes from the wood you burn and probably harvested yourself or split yourself, and then you in the cities, the trash is picked up.
One.
Go ahead. But everybody's we got 4 countries represented here. Everybody's from a different country. So go ahead.
Me and Claire are from the same country.
Well, you're living in different countries.
Yeah. City folks are more dependent everywhere, not just in Canada.
Right. But I would point out.
That's my personal opinion.
Right. I can see there's a kind of independence, but here, I mean, all I can do is talk about what I see in the United States and what I read. But it's, yes, we in cities and suburban areas, we are dependent on the trash because because of the concentration of population, for example, if the trash wasn't picked up by the city or by a contract with an independent company, it would pile up so quickly we'd be swimming in our own filth, and there's no individual's way to deal with that. This is why we have sewer systems as opposed to septic systems in my city, because if we all were running on septic tanks, we would pollute our groundwater. The concentration of populations require a higher degree of management that you can get away with in rural areas. Do you see what I'm saying? Just the numbers of people concentrated per square mile just requires us to have more government involvement in our lives. Otherwise, we would be poisoning ourselves and unable to get from one point to another without perpetually getting into car wrecks or something. Does that make sense?
It's not just that, Mark. Yeah, it makes sense and it's true, but the picture's slightly bigger. So
now, none of that justifies. I say that. Sorry, Mark. Real quick. Sorry, Mark. Just to interrupt. Just this is. I'm not saying that to justify the real concerns and the ridiculous stories that Sherry is sharing with us about poor law enforcement and insane policies that she is describing, with First Nations or whatever. So go ahead, Mark.
Because of the closure of the Straits of Hormuz, for example, Ireland is running out of petrol. And when they run out of petrol, suddenly you can't get food to the city. And if you can't get food to the city after 3 days, everyone starts killing each other.
Don't be a problem.
That's the problem with cities.
Mm-hmm. No.
And it's coming.
Right. But you're not going to have... they're going to die of starvation. They're going to kill each other because you can't have 8 billion people cannot... I'm talking 8 billion people on the planet. Most of those people have to be in cities. There's not enough countryside to support 8 billion homesteaders. It's just not there. There's not enough forest on planet Earth.
We don't know that. There might be.
Well, you could do the math. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
Yeah, I haven't, so I can't comment. Oh, we've lost Cherry.
Oh, just having problems, power problems, I guess. No, it's just but that doesn't justify the weirdness. I mean, what she described with Justin Trudeau breaking his promise for electoral reform or for the poor governance of the state. That's just crazy.
He was never gonna act outside his best interests. And I'm sure sorry, Sherry, but he tricked you. And you've realized that, and that's cool. But he's going to do what's best for him and whoever controls him. Because he's not independent. He wasn't. Mark Carney's most certainly not independent.
I just don't quite understand why Canada has taken the nosedive it has. I understand. I mean, Sherry's kind of on the ground in the front row of this experience, but it wasn't such a mess. I mean, even I just don't remember it being this mess. I don't remember it. I mean, the maid thing, for example, is a moral catastrophe. There's no question.
When someone acts in the opposite way to the best interests of themselves or their country, or just does the opposite of what is sensible, someone else is pulling the strings.
That's right.
So in England, in Europe, this whole green policy is absolutely the opposite of what's in the best interest for these people. So then you have to question, why are they doing this?
Right.
And then you can start going down rabbit holes and conspiracy theories and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the conspiracy theories are true.
Yeah. It's I just call it managed decline. I don't know why the decline is imminent. I don't know what the point is. Part of me thinks it's just a what would I call it? I would call it a like a transhumanist utopian wet dream. Okay. That's what it feels like that I'm in. And somebody's decided that they know what's best for you, as Grizz would say, right? And you're just going to have to suck it up and take it, because the good times are coming, right? I mean,
You'll own nothing and be happy.
we've even been told, as by the Prime Minister, that we're going to have to just sacrifice for the greater good. Because
But why? Why are you? But what? Why are you being asked to sacrifice? What's their rationale? Is it global warming?
Nobody knows. Well, he's definitely. I mean, he's got a book. You want to read his book, Mark? It's called Values by Mark Carney. He's basically the father of the carbon credit system, and he's also a banker. When has anyone ever trusted a banker? Okay, and the whole country thinks that he's some kind of financial whiz kid, and he's got our best interest at heart. No, no, he's making a lot of money, you know.
Right.
So
him or who he works for is what making a lot of money.
But here's the deal: you can't get to this place. Like, my country can't get to this place and actually vote someone like this in until they've already been morally destroyed, morally, and you know, like they've lost they've lost the script. Like, seriously, they've already come to a place where they what I would call common sense is extreme right-wing ideology to them. It's insane. Like, I don't even get it, you know.
The middle has become far right. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never considered myself. I've always considered myself apolitical. I never voted for years.
Same. I voted once for Tony Blair, never again.
I really think. I mean, the maid. I think the maid issue. If you can get to the heart of that and deal with what has, if you can get Canada, that's to me that's really where the rubber meets the road morally for Canada.
Well, it's part of the wet dream, Mark, because they're eugenicists.
Mm-hmm. But unraveling that, pulling the country back from that precipice will help resettle, because there needs to be a new revaluing of human life and dignity.
Yeah.
And
well, there can't be when human beings are seen as some kind of plague on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
When the green agenda makes the human being a disease that needs to be eradicated, right?
Yeah.
Then all of this stuff makes a lot more sense. Let them destroy themselves, right?
Right.
Take away their land, take away their rights, infest their cities with crime, make them feel unsafe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Polarize them, divide them, and then offer them a way out.
Well, let me do a Sherry move. Let me do a Sherry move. I'm going to read a little section from G.K. Chesterton's biography on Saint Francis of Assisi.
Good,
yeah. This is early on. It's page 19. It starts on page 19, but the paragraph right after is where it kind of really lands. Okay, this was not to be. This is G.K. Chesterton, by the way. Okay, this is not to be confused with mere self-righteous sensationalism about the wickedness of the pagan world. It was not so much that the pagan world was wicked as that it was good enough to realize that its paganism was becoming wicked, or rather was on the logical high road to wickedness. I mean that there was no future for natural magic. To deepen it was only to darken it into black magic.
Mm.
There was no future for it, because in the past it had only been innocent because it was young. We might say it had only been innocent because it was shallow. Pagans were wiser than paganism. That is why the pagans became Christians.
Right.
Thousands of them had philosophy. Thousands of them had philosophy and family virtues and military honor to hold them up. But by this time, the purely popular thing called religion was certainly dragging them down.
Mm.
When this reaction against the evil is allowed for, it is true to repeat that it was an evil that was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
In another and more literal sense, its name was Pan. Capital P-A-N, Pan, the god. It was no mere metaphor. This is kind of the punchline. It was no mere metaphor to say that these people needed a new heaven and new earth, for they had really defiled their own earth and even their own heaven. To me, that describes so much of the problems of our time here and in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I find hopeful in this Chesterton passage is that he's setting us up for what became the revolution of civilization, the sort of kind of revitalization of civilization through Christianity. And what there was and if Christianity is of any use to the world, it seems to me that it's custom made for retrieving civilizations from the kind of precipice you're describing in Canada or what we see here in the United States and elsewhere. What do you think? By the way, it's beautifully written. I love Chesterton. When he's Chesterton at his best, it's really good.
Yeah, because he gets at the soul, the world soul part of it, right? And I might say something a little harsh here, but it's not meant to be offensive. But you started this stream, Mark, with the clip from Dr. Cooper about the Reformation. And if you go back to John Vervaeke's Luther episode in his Meaning Crisis series that he did years ago, and just watch that, I would highly recommend it, okay? Because, and this is why I have a problem with Luther. I think I mentioned it to Brett in the chat in the beginning. I have a problem with, I think Brett put something in the chat about, that Luther was trying to reform, but the Catholic Church doubled down. And I said, no, Luther was trying to reform, and they both doubled down. Okay. That's what happened. He went out and married a nun. He was a monk. He should have had some humility, right? St. Francis was what Martin Luther wasn't.
Right.
Right. So, it's like, Martin Luther's, this is the point John Vervaeke makes in that episode. Martin Luther's discovery, let's say, he really highlighted the whole priesthood of believers thing, right? Which John Vervaeke makes a very good case for. He points out that this basically led to individualism and not community, because everybody could decide for themselves. They were their own priest. They had their own truth. Does that sound familiar? Okay.
Yeah.
And so this technocratic utopianism that involves eugenicists, serious ones, is basically the arrogance that grew out of the Reformation, in my opinion. Okay. And I'm not calling Reformed Christians technocrats or anything like that. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. There are a lot of good Reformed Christians, but if you follow the philosophy and human nature and what that leads to, you end up with some kind of person out there who says that they are going to build utopia for you, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Can I push back a little, Sherry?
Go for it.
I think in this corner, this little corner, and everywhere else, the idea of individuality is somewhat confused. Because what people generally consider individuality is, oh, I'm part of this little group. But that's not individual. That's still part of a group. But I identify with this little group, like the pink-haired types or whatever. That's not individuality. Individuality is an extremely difficult idea, firstly, to understand, and secondly, to live.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I understand what you're getting at. You know, like, we are individuals, but we are not the arbiters of our own truth. And that's where people get confused. They think because they, you know, as religious believing people, whether you're is, you know, Muslim or Jewish or Christian, the truth is the I am. Okay, it's not I am my truth, right? It's God is truth. God is truth. And so there is no community without God. It's every man for himself. If there's no verticality, it's only horizontal. And, you know, Tomberg points this out as being the closed world of the serpent, where it just becomes circular in the worst way possible, not eternally, you know, because here's the thing, for everything that we're saying, the opposite of it is also true, right? So we can always make an argument for the other side, because that's the nature of truth. Truth is antinomy, you know, there's,
Sorry, say that word again.
well, it's a contradiction of opposites. You know, you constantly run into the problem of, when you make a factual statement about anything, then you have to, if you're intellectually honest enough to do it, you have to admit that the opposite is also true. Because, and this is why McGilchrist talks about the coincidence of opposites. You know, we live in the tension between those two things. That in you know, Michael Martin would call it the metaxu, the in between space, right? Between those two things that could be true or are true, you know.
The thing that what I see in Luther, and basically it's both it begins in the Reformation, and it's just a modernist instinct, because I think modernism is the product of the Reformation. So it's global now, right? So I mean, modernism is just the Reformation taken global, but it's this idea that we're going to fix things. Like you said, we're going to give you utopia whether you want it or not. That's kind of what you said,
Yes.
right, Sherry? And that is the Protestant project. Oh no, I lost you again. We lost your video, Sherry. We don't see you, but we hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, I don't
I
know.
can hear you.
I think
That's
StreamYard's
okay.
open. overheating my devices.
It can do that sometimes.
Happening.
Yeah, maybe turn off your camera and let's see what it does. If we can just, there you go. We see you again. Okay. Anyway, I'll say this quickly.
I can't hear you now.
Oh,
I'm going to go out and come back in.
all right. Go out and come back in. I'll wait until Sherry comes back. Mark, what do you think?
Sherry said so much in such a short period of time that it's difficult to digest for me. But there are a few things that I'm like,
Well, let me pitch you something like this. I know. It's a
can I
little
just
different.
get it off my chest first?
Oh, I thought you paused. I thought you didn't say. Okay, go for it. Say it. Say it quickly. But don't pausing.
So I don't have a high opinion of Ian Gilchrist. There, I said it. Sorry, folks.
What's wrong with the? Okay, I get that, but what's wrong with Ian?
If he understood the Trinity, then all his work would make a whole lot more sense, but he doesn't, and he refuses to look into it, which frustrates me greatly. For example, what was the example Sherry gave again? I keep calling her Sherry instead of Sherry. Sorry, Sherry.
I'm not sure what you're. Yeah, I can't quite recall. I'm not sure where you're going with this because I'm not sure what the male.
So you have, what's the word? I've forgotten the word. You got two, basically. The third force is connection between them. That makes the Trinity. To circle back to the entire conversation, there's such a thing as a dark Trinity, which I've written and I'm continuing to write on my Substack, uneducatedphilosopher.substack, which is where instead of the third force helping to unite the two prime forces, the third force actually whispers to keep them fighting each other. And that's what I'm starting to see all over the world, is these two forces who maybe they don't live in harmony, but with this dark trinity, with this whispering to each side, they just start fighting each other. And you see this, if you look at a map of India during the British Raj period, and then after, I think it was 1956, they're like, okay, India has independence, but we'll create another country here called Pakistan, and we'll create another country here called Pakistan, and we'll continue them fighting each other such that we can do divide and rule. Divide and rule is another word for what I call the dark trinity. And if you look at a map of modern India, and you look at a map of modern Ireland, they're mirror images of each other. And it's all divide and rule. So you got Ireland and Northern Ireland. You got India and Pakistan. You've got Israel and Gaza. It's all divide and rule.
Well, they're all former colonies, but they're all former. These are all former colonies of more powerful states. Ireland is a colony, was a colony of the English. India, obviously, the Raj was a colony of the.
So now do you get who's causing all the trouble in Canada?
Oh, you're blaming the English.
No, the British, not the English. I want to separate the two.
Okay, you want to keep. Okay, so it's the English and the Scottish, the British, the
British.
The British. Okay, yeah.
Not the Scottish, not the English, not the Irish, the British, which is a legal construct.
Okay, yeah.
Claire should know about this if she wants to jump on and explain.
She's doing other things. Can you hear us now, Sherry?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, my device just crashed, and I guess I'm talking too much. Maybe.
No, you're not.
I'm back. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Mark. Maybe I think it's very important, but I'm still not sure what you're saying about what you're talking about geopolitics, buffer states, and the divide and rule policy of
The British.
empires.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they
what?
also have to, yeah.
So a question a lot of people have is, what's the difference between England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Britain, and the United Kingdom? And I'm saying they're all legal constructs. Certainly Britain and the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland are legal constructs. And I was hoping you could expand on this idea of mine and prove me correct, but I might be wrong.
Well, the different identities, I suppose. I mean, I guess Great Britain includes Northern Ireland, and Britain just doesn't include anything on the era. So the thing is, I suppose people get confused because people talk about the West, but they're really talking about a global empire, because the West includes Australasia, right? And it's not just Europe. I mean, it could arguably include Russia, except that the Anglo Saxon, the Anglo-American Empire has always made a point of being mean to the Russians, and now the whole thing's unraveling because of the petrodollar business and the Straits of Hormuz, being blockaded, and obviously people are finding it hard to make ends meet, and it will be a terrible thing. And when people,
Well, it's a terrible thing because I think to go back to what Sherry was talking about, it's a terrible thing because we've lost the moral ground on which we stand, and we're trying to impose utopias on people that they don't want.
Yeah.
forcing
We're
people
trying to solve problems that can't be solved, and this is essentially the Protestant. This is the Protestant Reformation project, which has become the modern project. It is to fix things that aren't fixable. This was the point I was going to try to before you crashed, Sherry, was that Luther comes in. The city of God is basically, Augustine gives us the city of God. It's this, so we have a city, and it's a constant. And in fact, the eternal city, Jerusalem is a city. There is a place for cities, but the city of God and the church in the form of the visible church on earth is complicated and full of self-contradictions, and sometimes dirtier than it should be, but it is a living organism. Protestantism comes in. What does Luther do? First, almost instantaneously, just a few short years after the 95 Theses, he reduces the seven sacraments to two, and creates the rationale for the dissolution of the monasteries. Arguably, as categories, two of the most sacred elements, certainly of the top. Well, I mean, you're attacking the sacraments and you're attacking the monasteries, the people who set themselves apart to God, right? The communities, those sacred communities. He breaks them both.
Well, here's the thing.
Which is, let me just finish the thought here, just briefly.
Okay, go.
So right there, why does he do that? Because there's some corruption in the monasteries, and the seven sacraments. Well, that may not be quite as right as it could be, so we're going to make it two. And then ultimately, Zwingli and Calvin make it to zero, right? That ultimately, the other reformers pick up on Luther because we start chasing after perfection. We're chasing after utopias. In fact, Calvin tries to create a utopia in Geneva and makes a hash of it. This is what we do as Protestants and moderns. And what we need to go back to is
Catholics.
Well, the Catholics respond to it.
Well, no,
but so do they.
No, here. This is the point I like to make, and I'm not blame gaming here at all, because I'll finish my thought afterwards. Luther was a Catholic, Mark. Okay, the Reformation was a reform movement within the Catholic Church. and it went haywire. Okay. And my theory is that it's human nature.
Well, you could say Christian, okay, but that I don't think that quite works, because you could say every Christian was a Jew,
Can
because
I
all they were.
interrupt?
Hold on, Mark. Hold on. Every Christian was a Jew because it was a Jewish movement.
No,
But then you can go back
I'm
further,
talking about the beginnings with Luther.
right?
Luther,
But I don't think that's legitimate. I think it's a category error. I think because Luther broke with Catholicism. Yes, he was a Catholic to begin with, but when you reduce the sacraments from 7 to 2, and you attack the monasteries, and the priesthood, you break from something, you become something new.
okay,
It's
wait.
something that's different.
Let me just say, the reason I said that was because I don't want to make it about who was right, who was wrong, who was righted, and who was wronged.
Right.
Okay? Because this is not a battle between Catholics and reformers. It's not a battle between Orthodox and Anglican. It's the battle that wages in the heart of mankind.
But we're trying to get at what's wrong with our times, and that
What's
goes
wrong
to the
with our
Chesterton
time?
quote too.
Well, I mean, I could stand right beside Claire and say, what's wrong with our times is Christianity gone wrong. Period.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Right?
Mark?
My turn. So I dropped a post on X, which nobody ever reads my X posts, so that's kind of funny on its own. But I said Luther was the first Protestant. No way. St. Paul was the first Protestant. No way. John the Baptist was the first Protestant. No way. Moses was the first Protestant. No, Jonah was the first Protestant. No, Adam was the first Protestant. No, Eve. She was the first Protestant.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes.
I think that's agreeing with you, Sherry.
Yeah, I know. It just goes on and on and on, right? And if you say anything that sounds vaguely, like you're some kind of original thinker, which, by the way, none of us are, then the Protestants say that you're Protestant, because
we're all Protestants on some level.
But here's the thing. I personally don't believe that the world will know any kind of healing.
Sorry, Claire just dropped a comment. Mark, can you throw it up?
Let me finish. I want to hear Sherry first. Go ahead, Sherry. Finish.
Watching bald men fight over a comb. Until people can learn what it is to have some humility. If you're Catholic, St. Francis of Assisi is a really good example of that. Lots of monks are really good examples of that. And not just Christian ones. There are a lot of Buddhist monks, and Tibetan monks that are amazing. So, but that's what heals the world. And anybody insisting on, trying to place the blame, it's like trying to figure out what it means to be an Englishman. What does it mean to be what is that? Are you Danish? Are you Anglo? Are you German? Are you Saxon? Are you?
I'm actually half Swedish.
Are you
so
Britain?
Little
Are
more
you
confusing.
Norman? Like what are you if you're an Englishman? Well, you're all those things, and that's why none of this kind of conversation ever works for me. If you stay on the horizontal plane and you try to connect rationally the dots to find the source of the irritation, it's way above you. It's powers and principalities. It's envy. It's lust. It's greed. It's all those things. It has nothing to do with whether you're right or wrong. We're all
Well,
wrong.
you
We're all
came
wrong.
in on this stream talking about a lady who's rolling a cartload of stolen property out of a store,
Mhm.
and you were appalled. I mean, your reaction
I was
was
shocked.
shocked, expressed some horror at the idea, and then asking the question, well, why should I pay for this?
Yeah.
And then why am I paying 3 times
Right.
as much for the item that I want to pay for?
Right.
And
Right.
so something's wrong, and that needs to be fixed. And the question is how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, that's not something that this is where I step away from the conversation. I can, because the problem is, these problems don't happen overnight. This is decades,
Right.
of indoctrination
Millenniums.
of people believing things that are not true in the carpenter sense of true, right? They're not straight. They don't
Can
line
I
up.
just
They
explain
don't
that
line up
comment?
with the cornerstone, Mark. They don't line up with the cornerstone.
Mm-hmm.
And so the rest of the building is all askew, right? So I would even
Sherry, just quickly let me interrupt.
yeah.
The word normal means set by a carpenter's stone,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, set by a carpenter's square.
But by the cornerstone. But yeah, so anyway, I think, you know what I think has to happen? People need to get on their knees. That's what has to happen. They need to get on their knees. They have to ask for forgiveness. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, a sinner, for even trying to find somebody to blame, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a prince of darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here. Let's not forget that.
All right,
So
let's round this up because I got to land a plane.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, the point of my Eve was the first Protestant was to say all throughout the Bible, people are rejecting God. And it goes to what Sherry was saying. Keep calling you Sherry. Sorry, Sherry. It's the vertical that we keep messing up on.
Yeah.
It's all through the Bible.
It's too bad Nate's not here because he could tell you all about better than I can, the closed world of the serpent and what that means. The Ouroboros, the thing that's eating itself, right? And whenever anybody throws accusations against the so-called left and the so-called right, one of the things they love to say is that they're eating themselves, because at some point they will. Because it's horizontal. It's the closed world of the serpent. When there's no verticality and there's no humility, and I'm not going to mention the word love here, because you need a lot of discernment to know how to love properly. I think it doesn't always mean just. It's not Paul McCartney and John Lennon's version of it, right? So, but yeah, take the beam out of your own eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me standing in that store and being shocked. What shocked me, Mark, was that the foundational morality of every single human being that was ever born on this planet, for as long as they've been being born, no longer applies. The 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Suddenly, we are like, if you think about that, we are freaking adrift without that. If we don't have the basic morality, that God put in our hearts, and then someone looks at me and as if I was, an alien from another planet because I think that something should be done. because
Mhm.
somebody stole something, when I feel alienated because I hold those 10 commandments in my conscience, something is very wrong with this world.
Mhm. Well, it is in Chesterton's language. It was no
Yeah.
metaphor to say that these people needed a new heaven and new earth, for they had really defiled their own earth and
Yeah.
even their own heaven. I can't think of a better way to describe the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
There you go. Yeah.
Didn't Chesterton also say that once people stopped believing in God, it's the danger is not that they will believe in nothing, but that they will believe in anything,
Anything. Yeah.
Mhm.
and that
And I don't even know if they believe. They're more like just following.
going with the flow,
Yeah. Yeah.
Cattle.
seeing what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Also,
One
that, Claire.
one more line from Chesterton of it's the lead paragraph, the lead sentence of the next paragraph immediately after the one I just quoted from. Nothing could purge this obsession but a religion that was literally unearthly, which is what he saw Christianity being. I think, I mean, to me, you've got to, Canada can't be right in its head so long as something like MAID is doing what it's doing and allowed to just kind of, I mean, the numbers are appalling. The idea that, I mean, the I have very liberal children, but they look at some of my daughter's a psychology graduate, and so she's all like, she is a very liberal person, but she'll look at just dumbfounded at
You know,
what they're
there,
using MAID for as a alternative to treatment.
right. So just imagine, like you said, your daughter's a psychologist. She works in mental health, obviously. Mental health has prided themselves in suicide prevention. Okay.
Right.
And now we're saying that this is the argument against conversion therapy. You know, we can't help these people. They've made a choice. We can't interfere. This idea that you can't prevent someone from committing suicide. So, you know, like now they're going to let children do it without their parents' consent.
Right.
Okay? Because their choice, right? Did that come from the abortion argument? Their body, their choice? You damn right it did. Yes, it did. So we are in a pickle, my friends. We're in a big pickle. We need to really get down on our knees and ask God's forgiveness. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. We need to repent. We need a metanoia.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
go back to something you said a little earlier, Sherry? It's very easy to love. The difficulty is to bear love. That's the tricky part. To carry it.
That's what Jesus did.
Yeah. He
did.
carried it without complaint, even though everything.
Yeah.
Bearing love is the hard part. Loving is easy. We do it all the time by accident. But to properly carry it.
But you can only do that in community with other people. So I mean, this is the thing: is the churches have to be communities of God, of the kind you're describing, Mark, for it to work. You can't love anything in isolation. You can pretend to, but the real loving is done in community.
Well, I think that if you are rightly oriented towards God, you will love the cosmos, the whole world.
Mhm.
all of creation, including people, right?
Mhm.
That's what Jesus did.
But it's
Jesus,
tested in
Jesus,
community, though, right? It's
Jesus was.
tested. It's tested when people meet each other. It's not in isolation.
It gets tested, but listen, nobody. Jesus was essentially alone. He went to the garden to pray, and nobody could stay awake for him. Right?
Hmm.
He kept going down and saying, "Wake up, wake up, wake up."
Practice
And
love on plants and animals.
I mean, there's a reason that he said it 3 times. Okay? When you
Mhm.
see 3 things in the Bible or 3 things in a fairy tale, it's important. Okay? Wake up. Wake up. He was alone in his journey. My God, why hast thou forsaken me, Mark? But he loved, like, truly, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to, just put that in your pipe and smoke it. I don't know what it's going to taste like after, but, it might.
All right, I got to wrap this up.
Kind of like Mark Jackson said earlier, about individualism. You can make it the bane of your existence, or you can embrace it and become a hermit in the woods, like Saint Seraphim of Sarov, right?
Mhm.
Or Saint Mary of Egypt, never saw another human being for like 30 some years. So, I don't know. There's a place for these things. There's people meant and destined for these things. And those are the things you have to ask God about. But you better start with some humility and some repentance for the sake of the world. Because you know what? As long as you're looking to blame somebody or something for something or someone, the world is never going to be healed.
Mhm. Well, Tibetan Buddhists chase after enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Of course they do. And it's right. They're right.
No, it's a very godly idea, I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
Claire, do you have a last thought, Claire?
Yes. I actually have one question for Mark, and I'm asking him for confirmation that when he talks about verticality, he's talking about hierarchy. Is that right, Mark? Or did I misunderstand you? I don't think he.
Mark with a
Sorry,
C.
which Mark?
Mark with a C. You.
Sorry, yes, Mark with a C. You were talking about
Before you do-
verticality. I know.
I have to go, and I don't want to just jump off and disappear. So I'll say goodbye. Claire, it was really nice to be on with you, even though you weren't on.
Thanks for joining, Sherry.
I hope your curiosity about whether or not we can talk about politics is satisfied.
Well, I hope you will come onto my channel and talk politics with me, if you'd like to. If you think you can bear the idea, I would appreciate it very much.
I wouldn't be.
Sherry.
I wouldn't.
And,
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I didn't even know you had a channel. But anyways, have a great day. Thanks for having
All right.
me, Mark.
Thanks, Sherry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right.
Sherry,
So
good to
finish
hear
it up
you.
real
Sorry,
quick,
Claire,
guys.
I didn't. You were cut out for a minute, so I didn't hear your question.
I was only going to ask you, when you said verticality, did you mean hierarchy?
Oh no,
You're not.
conscience comes from God. Manners, morals, ethics,
Okay.
law come
Okay.
from man. They sit on the horizontal.
Okay.
And so there are different, it's a complicated question, and Mark wants to
I
wrap
see.
up. There are a number of vertical hierarchies, and I'm not talking human
Yes.
hierarchies. I'm talking universal hierarchies, like the universe.
Okay.
So
Yes.
okay, did I answer
Right.
enough?
Thank you for that clarification, and thank you, Mark, for giving me this opportunity to talk to Sherry. And I really just wanted to say how important it is that we all said all the things we did because things seemed to be going very bad very quickly, and perhaps the methods that the empire might use on people outside the country, it is being used on on us, in the West. So it's something to bear in mind. If they will treat other people badly, it's only a matter of time before they treat their own people badly. And
Tayo, I always have a minute for you, so if you want to hop on, hop on. Always, I can extend it for a couple minutes for Tayo. Tayo's
That's
special.
Tayo.
Yeah. Yeah, Tayo.
He's a chameleon.
He's very special. Well, thank you, Claire and Mark, for participating, keeping me company. I wasn't sure where this thing was going to go or how well it was going to go, but I think you guys helped turn it into a pretty good live stream. So appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you for having me, Mark. I'll be off
Oh,
then.
he's so. Here, okay, everybody, prepare yourselves for the most special man in the corner, Tayo.
Oh, what an introduction. After you said all that nice stuff, how could I resist, Mark?
That's it.
You got a lot to live up to now.
Yeah, that's the real setup.
Did you-
Guilty of just so I can let everyone else down.
Were you able to see that Sherry
Well,
even
yeah,
popped in? This is a special live stream, man. This is gold star. This is gold
No.
star corner material.
Historic, even.
Historic, even. Claire came in and conversed with Sherry. Mark
was
walked
that
the
like?
dog for us. He brought his beard in. So what you got to say? What you got to help us out with?
Well,
How's your day?
I've just come. My day's been pretty good.
It's your
I
night
came
now.
mainly to comment on your the black really suits you. I don't know if I've never seen you in like a black top before, but you look very regal in
Oh, well,
black.
thank you. Maybe I should be more puritanical in my dress going forward.
And
Thank
Claire, I am looking forward to going back after the stream to watch your first encounter, your fringe encounter with the lovely Sherry. And I'm sure that
Well,
went
I'm
swimmingly
very
as I imagined.
happy. It was very cordial. I'm very relieved to say, and this is such a huge milestone. So I'm really happy about that. Yes, thank you for asking.
And I can absolutely guarantee that, yes, Peter Penrose Batch is definitely more special than I am, and I know it. Probably one of the nicest people I've had the pleasure of meeting in the corner.
I don't feel thinner.
No, I'm
Mr.
more
Wells.
special.
Yeah, well, that beard, as long as you got that thing on your face, you are definitely more special. I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh. It's got, I don't
can do
know.
reverse headbanging now.
That's a
You can-
triumph. Absolute triumph. Look at it.
It's a beast. A beast. Well,
I'm trying to think of a Metallica song that I can sing along and do reverse headbanging.
yeah. It is funny, though, this history, the way it goes. We can't seem to talk about it without and ruffling feathers. I mean, it's 500-year-old history, and we keep we struggled to talk about it with any kind of objectivity or empathy for the people going through it at the time, or it's always current in some way. The wounds, anyways, are still current.
Did you
And-
say the wounds?
Yes, seems to be.
That's interesting. I'll tell you, because a lot of people in TLC use the word deconstruction,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I suspect, is what Luther went through.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'd rather, I mean, the traditional term is actually being reborn. That's deconstruction. And it's incredibly painful. No?
rebirth.
chew on
That's
it.
the
What do you got,
painful
Tayo?
part.
You cut out on us. Say again. He's roboting. Are you with us, Tayo? No. He usually has a better signal. Maybe he's traveling. Can you hear me, Mark?
Oh, that's interesting. Ethan says deconstruction is the death part of being reborn.
That sounds
There
right.
might be some truth in that.
Say that again.
Deconstruction is the death part of being reborn.
Right. What was your question then? What'd you follow up with?
I didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
had a question.
I thought couldn't hear you right.
I mean, it's, being reborn is a big question, and it's, I think, intentionally not presented to us clearly,
Yeah.
such that we have to wrestle with it ourselves. And I think it's this wrestling part. And Jordan Peterson talks about the wrestling thing all the time. And I think that's why the language isn't super clear. Oh, you do this, and you do this, and you do this, and then you find God and click your heels 3 times, and you're back in Kansas, and everything's just kumbaya. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, I'm going to close with this reading from 1 Corinthians 6. It's one of these. It's one of the key passages that has driven me in the direction I'm going in for the last few months. Just starting out with verse 1. This is the Apostle Paul, his first letter to the Corinthians. Again, chapter 6, verse 1. If any of you has a dispute with another, do you dare to take it before the ungodly for judgment instead of before the Lord's people? Or do you not know that the Lord's people will judge the world? And if you are to judge the world, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? Do you not know that we will judge angels? How much more the things of this life? Therefore, if you have disputes about such matters, do you ask for a ruling from those whose way of life is scorned in the church? I say this to shame you. Is it possible that there is nobody among you wise enough to judge a dispute between believers? But instead, one brother takes another to court, and this in front of unbelievers? The very fact that you have lawsuits among you means you have been completely defeated already. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be cheated? Instead, you yourselves cheat and do wrong, and you do this to your brothers and sisters. Or do you not know that wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who have sex with other men, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor slanderers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. This is the New International Version translation. So it's it's some of the translation there is a little not clear, but anyway. And that is what some of you were. But you were washed, you were sanctified, you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God. Stuff to think about, even if the translation is imperfect. It was a little bit off there. But I like this part. I do like this part about why not rather be defrauded? Why not rather, everybody fights and argues, but to be Christian is to take the blows regardless. So with that passage from 1 Corinthians 6, controversially translated, I'll close it out. What do you got? Mark, you have a last thought. 30 seconds.
Last 30 seconds. I don't love you all. There we go. I try to.
You
Give me
try
Lord
to?
and Sinner.
All right. Ups is giving us a closing thought. I'm going to close with this quote from Ingersoll Lockwood. Give us back the marrow of our bones, which you have used to grease the wheels of your chariots, and I invite everyone to deconstruct it. All right. All right. Thanks, Mark. Have a good night.
Thanks,
God
Mark.
bless
You
to
too.
the children and
Have
the
a good
wife.
day.
All right. Bye,
Thanks.
guys.